What is up, my friends? How are we? It's Thursday night. It is the late night agenda, and as always, you are very, very welcome along. Obviously, the lesser football clubs are in action tonight in the Europa League and the Europa Conference League, so we'll leave them to it. But tonight, we're going to talk about the Trent Alexander-Arnold situation and what's going on there. Ella. I'm not really arsed about Coventry, mate. In all honesty, I know you're a Coventry fan, Ella, but I don't really care if they've sacked the manager. In all honesty, it means nothing to me. So yeah, look, we're going to talk tonight about Trent. We're going to speak about more Trent. We're going to speak about Ederson. We're going to speak about Omar Marmoush. We're going to talk about Arne Slot and some more records, and a little bit on Virgil van Dijk. But yeah, in the main, I'm going to be just trying to gauge how everybody is feeling right now with the Trent situation, because Danny Murphy's been speaking about his thoughts, and do you know what? Again, nothing but love, Ella, by the way. I just don't care about Coventry. I am, though, happy to see Shamrock Rovers win 2-1 today against TNS, which, again, keeps Rovers doing well there in the Conference League. But yeah, look, Danny Murphy seems to think that Trent's off. And I've yet to really see many former players or local, I don't want to say celebrities, but like anybody in and around the city or anybody who has been associated with the football club, the vibes around Trent's future, they don't come across great. They really don't. Until we get a definitive answer, I guess we're all scratching our heads. But right now, I'm probably 70-30. Towards him going based off the vibes that we're feeling out there and the few bits and pieces we get to see. I think it's a half-time of the United game. Yeah, half-time, and they're being held by PAOK. They found their level there, United. They found their level. Can't even score at home in the first half against a team with a whole 1 point so far, I think, in the Europa League to this point. It's mad. It is mad. But sure, Amram's going to come in and they'll win the quadruple then, won't they? Well, at least that's the feeling you get listening to them. Chelsea is 6 up. Wow, that's mental. Look, Chelsea are doing what they should be doing, to be fair, which is making it look like a joke that they're in the Conference League. But putting up 6, that's mental, if that's the case. Yeah. So look, I guess I want to get your feelings around the Trent situation. But before I do, I'm going to just read out a couple of bits and pieces around it to kind of give everybody a heads up. So, again, coming from Spain, there's a report that says Real Madrid know that they have to, I repeat, have to sign a starting right back in January, but they haven't found a player that fits them. The main target is Trent Alexander-Arnold, but he's a target for the summer. So it doesn't even look like the Madrid faithful believe that there's any chance they can come in and get Trent in January. But I want to ask, would that situation change if Trent was to make it be known that he wants to leave at the end of the season? I would say my mind would be yes. So I don't know what way Trent is going to sway on this. But if Trent communicated to the club that he wanted to join Real Madrid, then for me, I would say sell him in January. Because I don't want a distraction. I don't want that situation looming over us for the remainder of the season. And I don't want a player that doesn't think his future is going to be at Liverpool. So if, and again, it's a hypothetical if, Trent told the club that he wants to move on, then I think rather than drag it out, we just make it happen in January. That's the way I'd look at it. Because I don't want a player in and around the club that we know is departing in 6 months' time, because nobody will convince me that these players are going to give 100%. I don't care if the manager tells me they're professional. I don't care if my fellow fans tell me they're professional. I know human nature enough to know that I don't believe anybody's given 100% if they've already decided they were leaving. So that's the way I look at it. And it would be the same for anybody, by the way. So I want to bring you to what Danny Murphy has been saying about it, because he's been on TalkSport and he said, I think Trent is gone, which is, the thumbnail tonight. Then he said, Van Dijk has to stay. Him and Canada are the best in the league. So I agree with Danny Murphy on that one, by the way. I do think Ibu and Virgil have been tremendous. So Danny Murphy convinced that Trent Alexander-Arnold is leaving Liverpool this summer, but has faith that Mohamed Salah and Virgil will extend. So I want to know how you all feel about it. So let's play the hypothetical game. If Trent communicated to the club that when his contract expires, he wants to go to Real Madrid, what would you be doing at that point? Would you be saying, okay, let's get the best out of Trent for the remainder of the season? Or would you think, well, he's made his mind up, let's start to put Conor Bradley in, let's start to look for another right back, and let's push the process forward? Because for me at this point, if you don't know by the time the winter window comes around, I think that tells us as much as what he's not telling us. Because I don't know what there is left to be convinced about at this point. You either know you want to stay or you don't. It's different for Virgil and Mo because there's going to be a conversation about length of contract. There's going to be a conversation about their final part of their careers. But with Trent, there's no question the club want him to stay. There's no question it will be a long-term deal. There's no question it will be a lot of money offered to him. The only question seems to be, does he want to be here? Am I wrong? I genuinely feel I'm being honest about this. It feels to me like it's just up to him to hurry up and decide what he wants to do. Do you want to stay or don't you? And the longer it goes on, the more I start to feel like, well, why do you need to be convinced? Why do you need to be talked into this? I don't get it. I just don't. If you have any thoughts of wanting to stay, it should be straightforward. I don't understand how this is still being dragged out. I just don't. Carl, how are you, bro? And said, is it true Egypt are not calling up Salah? Honestly, I don't know. I don't know, Carl. I haven't had a chance today to look into that, mate. They didn't do it the last time because they were playing Mauritania away, I think, if I remember correctly. And the manager wasn't overly keen on the pitch, and he wasn't overly keen on some of the tackles that some of the Mauritanian players put in the first game. So I think he gave the players the option in that one. If they didn't want to go, they didn't have to go, and Mo was one of those players. And look, they went and won the game anyway, so all worked out well. And I think Egypt have qualified for the AFCON anyway, so maybe it is the case, Carl. Sell Trent in January and bring in Frimpong if Trent wants to leave, said Cam. Why would anybody want to leave the season we're having? See, that's where I'm confused by it all, my man. So who was that? G Moore 94. That's what has me confused as well. Like, it is just going to come down to what Trent wants to do. Like, it is in his hands. Unlike maybe Mohamed Salah and Virgil, where there are, the club have to weigh up if they're going to drop off in form as they get a bit older. That's not there with Trent. So this is as simple, does Trent or doesn't he want to stay? And I'm going to keep asking, why is he needing to be convinced? It should be a no-brainer at this point. And I know he's saying he doesn't want it to be played out publicly, but he has to see the stuff. He has to see the Danny Murphy stuff. He has to see the Paddy Pimblett stuff. He has to hear over and over again that the vibe in and around the city is that people feel like he's off. So I don't understand what dragging it out is going to do positively for anybody. If he's made up his mind, that's his prerogative. But communicate it, because this is just, I think it's just building up to foster more discontent and anger, to be honest with you. That's just my honest take on what I'm feeling as a Liverpool fan. Corey, thank you so much, by the way, Corey, and welcome, my man. Well, thank you for your super chat. Really appreciate it, sir. And you've said, in the States, why isn't that coming up on screen for me, Corey? 1 second, mate. Corey said, in the States, we have a saying, it's better to trade a player a year too early than a year too late. If Trent doesn't want to be here, then sell and move on. So, I feel the problem here, Corey, for a lot of us Liverpool fans is, in my mind, if we'd ever lost Trent, I thought it was going to be for a 60, 70, 80 million quid transfer fee, not for nothing, or for next to nothing. And it's going to sting, and it's going to hurt, no matter what happens if he leaves now. I don't think there's any way of dressing this up that it isn't going to sting Liverpool fans, and that isn't going to cause a bit of problem for the club. Because there's going to be angry fans, and they're going to be wondering how we let it happen. So, I guess we need to break this down into a few parts, don't we? What we know, what we think, and what the outcomes might be. And right now, and I'm open to being corrected on this, have you, on you guys on social media or on any of the fan publications you read or whatever, has anybody seen genuine enthusiasm over the possibility of Trent staying? Because I'm not seeing it. I'm only seeing people saying they're thinking he's off. And we're not talking about nobodies here. Like Paddy Pimblett in and around the city, an athlete himself. Danny Murphy, former Liverpool player. And all these vibes seem to suggest that maybe they think he's heading away. And look, maybe they know nothing. Maybe they're hearing little whispers. I don't know, because I'm not in their position. But I know, as I sit here right now, Liverpool fan, this feels to me like it's gone past the point of, I need to weigh up my future now. You've had enough time. Make your decision. That's the way I look at it. Honestly, maybe I'm harsh. Maybe I'm an asshole. But you're not going to need to be talked into something you want to do. AD, thank you for your super chat, my friend. Said Trent is no Mane, Suarez or Torres, no loss. See, I will agree with you that he isn't maybe as impactful as those players. But he does have the local boy part. He does have the connection to the fan base. And he is a very good player. Real Madrid wouldn't be looking for him if he wasn't a very good player. But I also don't think Real Madrid would be looking for him if he wasn't free. Or nearly free. And look, we've said this as well and we've had conversations. If you're talking about losing one of those three this season and he having the least impact on the team, then it's probably Trent. But Trent's also the most valuable of those three players now based off the rest of the career. And what they have left, because Trent's only, 25 now. So he's got the prime of his career to come. You know, if you're saying, I want to be Liverpool captain someday, I want to stay at the club, I want to captain it, then this should be a no-brainer. The opportunity is there for you to do that. Be the next captain after Virgil van Dijk, stay at the club, commit your future here. All this talk of Ballon d'Ors is absolute, and I'm going to say it, because I don't feel like enough people are saying it, it's absolute bollocks. There is more chance of you or I winning a Ballon d'Or than there is of Trent. And I say that as a Trent fan. I say that as a Liverpool fan. There's absolutely no chance whether he goes to Real Madrid, stays here, or goes anywhere else that Trent Alexander-Arnold is winning a Ballon d'Or. He isn't. He's not doing it. It isn't going to happen. He can dream about it. He can have that as aim. That is his prerogative. But it just isn't going to happen. And also, if he goes to Madrid, well, he's got Vinny who wants a Ballon d'Or. He's got Bellingham who wants a Ballon d'Or. He's got Mbappe who wants a Ballon d'Or. So his pecking order there, you know, in the one team, he's probably the fourth most likely. And that's me being fair, balanced, kind. So, yeah, again, I just don't get it. It just all feels like it's leading up to negativity. And I just want the bandage ripped off at this point. That's how I feel. I hope you're well. And I hope Trent doesn't go to Real Madrid. Hasn't been playing good to stay at Liverpool, Trent. Look, we all want him to stay. I think. You know, I certainly know I do. But I also don't understand what you need to be convinced by anymore. And that's the point on this that I think as Liverpool fans we should have a real conversation about. Because let's be fair about it. As we have been all the way through. We were fair when we said, and by the way, sorry, I am in this perspective speaking for all Liverpool fans. So again, I hope you're with me on this. But we all understood that he had to take stock of things when Jurgen was leaving. I think every Liverpool fan I've came across has been fair about that and thought, okay, we can understand Trent wanting to know what's next, wanting to know what direction the club's going in. So then we seen Arne Slot come in. And again, the narrative was, well, these players need to see what life is like under Arne Slot. They need to hear Arne Slot's plans. They need to know if, again, the club are going to meet their own ambitions. Again, we as Liverpool fans said, fair enough, we can understand that. Then it was, well, we need to see if stylistically Arne Slot is that guy and he can get us challenging. And I think that question's been answered. We are top of the Champions League. We're top of the Premier League. We're in every cup competition, of course, because we haven't played in the FA Cup. We're in the quarter-final of the League Cup. And we're pulling out great results. So that question has been answered. So Klopp leaving, done. New manager, sorted. Is he going to be good enough? Yes. So now I'm really asking myself as a Liverpool fan, what more do you need? You know, because I'd imagine the money is going to be sorted out fairly quickly if Trent says he wants to stay. So again, I will pitch to you guys, What does he need to be convinced by? You know, if the other night and the Leverkusen victory on the same night that Madrid were beaten by a team that we comfortably beat already, I'm not seeing what we need to convince him about anymore. It feels like he's just dragging his heels now at this point. That's how I feel. I'm not expecting everybody to agree with me, but that is how I genuinely feel. That I don't understand what he needs to be convinced about. Connor said, after all these years, I'd expect Trent to have a little more respect. Again, to be fair to Trent, he hasn't said anything. But that's also a cop-out. You know, it's very easy to say it's not going to be played out in public. I want it sorted behind the scenes. Again, you can understand that, but it can also be a cop-out. Because if you are thinking of leaving, that's just buying yourself a little bit more time to not have to talk about these things publicly. So he wants to win trophies for all of his career. He said that. We can do that at Liverpool. He wants to win a Ballon d'Or. Again, he's not winning that at Liverpool and he ain't winning that at Real Madrid. So at this point, make a decision. That's how I feel as a Liverpool fan. Just make your goddamn mind up. And if you don't want to be here, communicate that so the club can look forward, so we as fans can look forward. Because this just is not helping anyone. And I include Trent in that. It's going to turn sour eventually if it persists. Exactly. Because if this goes towards December, January, people aren't stupid. They're going to know in January, if there's no sign of a new deal, that he's running down his deal. The club might not be able to communicate this, but again, we're not stupid as fans. Trent wants to be the highest paid. He doesn't deserve to be the highest paid. Again, let's be honest about this. He does not deserve to be paid the same amount of money as Mohamed Salah. Because he does not have the same impact as Mohamed Salah. Mohamed Salah earned every damn penny of his contract by being an icon, by being a record breaker, by consistently, season after season, delivering numbers, goals, assists. You know, if ever somebody earned that biggest deal in the club's history, it was that man. So he doesn't deserve that money, quite frankly. And if I'm Edwards and I'm sitting there and he's saying to me, I want 350 grand a week, then respectfully I'm saying, well, you're not getting it. You're not getting 350 grand a week. And you're not going to get that at Madrid either. So it feels like there's probably one price for us here and one price for Real Madrid. All of it, nothing here, to me, signals he wants to stay. Nothing. So, sorry for my little early ranting, but I'm going to go into the chat now and see how everybody else is feeling. Can a reporter just ask Trent, do you want to stay? They can ask, but it'll be batted away. Or the club's media officer will say beforehand or afterwards, we're not talking about his future. You know, no questions on that, please. It's been dealt with behind the scenes. You know, the club are very used to these type of questions. So they have polite answers to bat them away. Right, so I'm going to go through your comments. Craig, he doesn't do enough in games to warrant 300 grand a week. Gomez could play right back better at defending, said Rich Purse. Paul Trevor said, Trent won't say anything. He knows fans will turn on him if he says I'm off. But surely he also has to know, mate, that the fans aren't idiots. And they're going to look at the situation dragging on and know, well, if he's not signing, it's for one reason. Dennis said, perhaps he doesn't want to play right back. Perhaps he wants to develop as a midfielder. I would say, in all honesty, Dennis, again, he's not getting into that Madrid midfield. There are far better players there ahead of him in that pecking order. And Madrid will be signing him absolutely to be a right back because that's where their need is, you know, with Carvajal injured. Ben Richardson, do you know what? I'm going to just ask the question on Trent's wages. I think that's the easiest way. I'm going to put in a poll. And I'm going to be kind on the amount. I'm even going to put it less than Salah's. second. Right, so the question I'm going to ask is, does Trent deserve 300 grand a week? Now, could be higher, could be a bit lower. I'm trying to meet you in the middle here. Does Trent deserve 300 grand a week? Now, I know at times it's easy for all just to go, yes, because it's not our money, technically. But it kind of is. And football wages are ridiculous anyway. But if Mohamed Salah had to do what Mohamed Salah had to do to get 350 G's a week, I, as a Liverpool fan, certainly don't feel Trent has done anywhere near what Mo has done to warrant that. I think there's a homegrown tax on this, there's a local boy tax on this, and that probably jumps his wages up. So I just don't think he's earned it. I'm not sure whether Trent stays or goes, said Devon. To be honest, nobody does, except maybe Trent's camp and the club's hierarchy. Everything said by anybody else is just opinions and assumptions. We'll wait and see. Look, that's what we've said though, mate. Nobody does know. But the question that I'm trying to ask is, what does he need to be convinced by now? Because this has been going on since Jurgen announced he was leaving. And before then. So they had easy get out of jail free cards to keep this trucking along by going, well, he wants to see what life's going to be like after Jurgen. He wants to see who the new manager is. He wants to see if we're going to be competitive. All those questions have been answered now. And we still don't have an answer to what he wants to do. So I'm just going to keep saying, what does he need to be convinced by now? If you don't want to be here and play for that manager in Anfield and have nights like that Leverkusen 4-0 defeat, I don't think there's anything anybody else can convince him to stay with, because you shouldn't need to be convinced to want to live through those moments more. Harry said, is the Alonso factor the main reason he might go? Don't know. I mean, can I understand the lure to work with Xabi Alonso? Yeah, of course. But again, if we're looking at this, removing the emotion, Arne Slot is a very, very good coach. And Xabi Alonso also a very, very good coach. But they came head-to-head recently and we wiped the floor with them. And he picked holes in Alonso's setup and figured it out. So our coach is every bit as impressive as Xabi Alonso with regards to what he can do as a manager. Xabi Alonso can't put the boots on for Trent to go out on the pitch. Vesha said, don't get me wrong, Craig. Whenever I see Trent, I can see him wanting to leave. Your thoughts on that, Craig? Have you felt it? I've always tried to be fair on the body language thing and say, I don't know Trent the guy, so I don't know how to interpret his body language. You know, is that just Trent being Trent? I don't know. Some players need emotion to play. Some players need calm to play. I don't know Trent as a human being, so I don't know how to interpret his body language. Yeah, and look, I'm never really going to be too critical of a player being unhappy they're being subbed off either, because, you know, we all know that feeling. We've all been on a football pitch where we've been dragged off or substituted. You don't like it. But again, I'm trying to not even take that into consideration. I'm trying to look at it and figure out what questions are left to be answered for Trent to be convinced that Liverpool are going in the right direction. Craig, to take nothing away from Klopp's legacy, but do you think we'd be in the same position now if he was still in charge? It's funny, Chris, because Connor asked me the same question yesterday when we were on the phone. Honestly, probably not. I think we'd had a good start, but I think we'd have probably thrown in a couple more draws. So I think we'd probably still be top four. You know, we'd probably be around where Arsenal are now, would be my guess. You know, maybe 5-6 points off Man City. Because I do feel like some of them wins, we may have conceded a messy goal or so and had a draw or two extra. So probably not. It's normal to give academy players a higher salary. They haven't gotten a sign-on bonus like the others. Well, they have. Do you, like, I'm not sure again what you know about footballers' contracts or whatever. And look, we all kind of don't know everything, but every time they sign a contract extension, there's usually a loyalty bonus built in. So this idea that he hasn't been given money by the club or hasn't received some signing on bonuses is again not true, really. Because you have to look at it from the other side as well. Yes, the club haven't had to pay for these players. The club haven't had to put out, so maybe you can look at it and go, okay, we'll give him a bit more. But I would argue on the 200 grand a week or so he's already on, he's probably one of the best paid right backs in the world, if not the best paid right back in the world. So I think the club have already been fair, and even in this negotiation there was always an understanding that he would bump up another 50 or so grand a week. So yeah, I don't know. And also, the second part to this is, I don't think he gets anywhere near 300 grand a week at Real Madrid. Not a hope. So, in my head, and this is, again, just in my head, it feels like there's a price for us, and that price is somehow higher to stay here with his hometown club than probably what he'd get paid to go to Madrid. Trent was more important when we had Jurgen, but in Slott's system, I think a more traditional right back would fit more, said Mads Thorsen. Thank you, Mads. Is Salah going to leave? I don't know. I don't, like, as a fan, and again, I only speak from my own perspective, I feel like Virgil's going to stay. I feel like maybe Mo is... I think Mo wants to stay. I feel comfortable saying that, but I don't know what to say from the club's perspective on that. So I feel like if 3 contract offers were put on the table now to each player, Virgil signs his, Mohamed signs his, and I don't know about Trent. So yeah. There does seem to be a lot of optimism from a lot of people that Mo wants to stay, but what we don't know is what the club are offering Mo, or what the club's thought process is on Mo's situation. Why can't our future captain get 300 grand a week? No one's saying he can't. We asked you a question. Do you think he's worth 300 grand a week? I'm not saying he's not getting it. So, and he also, you know, this whole thing about him being a future captain, that's great if he stays. The Regan brothers. First time I've seen your name in, my friend, and thank you. Congratulations, by the way, on your YouTube success. Lovely to see you win. Said, surely Trent has to be aware of how Madrid has been performing this season. Sticking multiple amazing players in a team doesn't always equal a winning formula. Hope Trent, Salah and Virgil all stay. I echo everything you've written there, mate. All of it. It can't be going unnoticed to Trent how messy Madrid is at the minute, and how destabilising the Mbappe situation has been, and how some of the fans are getting on Bellingham's back, and how Carlo Ancelotti's under pressure. And also, we haven't even spoken about the Super League stuff. Like, Madrid are still adamant that they're joining that competition and that it's supposed to be starting next September. So we don't even know how that all works out. So you're right. And like you, mate, I want all 3 to stay. It's just that every day now I feel like I'm hearing another former player or somebody, you know, in and around the city who feel like Trent's leaving. And I've not seen anybody go the other way. I've not seen former players come out and go, I'm really convinced Trent's staying. I really feel like he's staying. I've not seen any of that, unfortunately. I really wish I'd seen it, because it would at least give us something maybe to cling on to there. Right now it just feels like we're all waiting for the bad news. And the longer it gets dragged out, I think the more it's going to annoy and hurt people. The Regan brother said, meant to send a super chat. Love the channel. Thank you so much, my friend. Appreciate that. Yeah, it is always lovely to hear kind things like that, mate. Thank you so much. And with your own channel, I wish you every bit of success as well, my man. Thank you so much. Really means a lot. Thank you. I always get excited when I see a fellow YouTuber with a tick in the chat, whether it's Jason Morris, whether it's your good self, mate. It's always, you always feel, I don't know, there's something nice about acknowledgement from fellow YouTubers. I don't know what it is, but it's always lovely to see, so thank you. So, looking at the poll so far, and we've had 700 votes, so we'll leave it up for a bit longer. The question was, does Trent deserve 300 grand a week? So far, it's close. 45% say yes, 55% say no. Tony Hoare said, I think with Mo it's the length of contract. Personally, I'd give him the 3 years. If he drops off, Saudi will buy him. There's probably something to that as well, Tony. I would feel comfortable offering Mo a 2-year extension with an option of a third that the club can trigger. So we'd have all of this season and then 2 further seasons. Personally, that's the perfect solution for me. But I understand your point as well. You know, securing him for 4 years also means less chance of him leaving for free if Saudi do come in, or that league continues to develop and Mo wants to try something else. So, yeah, I understand where you're coming from on that one. But what I don't know is what the club's thoughts are. You know, I have no idea what way Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes are thinking on this. Right, so I'm going to fly through some news, by the way, because there's a load of stuff I wanted to go through. If you were watching the video earlier on, by the way, thank you. We went through loads of transfer gossip. So, one thing I do want to say well done to Trent on, and you might have seen this on the Anfield Agenda Twitter, was Trent has made a significant donation towards helping saving Zoe's Place Baby Hospice. I think Trent and a few others went in maybe through the 23 Foundation, I think, but well done on that one. Like, to see the whole city of Liverpool come together to try and raise that much needed funds for Zoe's Place, it just speaks to the character of Scousers and what great people they are. It was also a nice Bobby Firmino Instagram post showing Luis Diaz no-look goal and showing one of Bobby's no-look goals, which was a nice memory to have. Also, Curtis and Trent have been called up to the England squad, so congratulations to both of them on that call-up. And then there's something that I know some of you guys will be happy with. Liverpool and Chelsea have joined the race to sign Bournemouth star Milos Kerkez after his impressive performances this season. That's according to former Manchester United and Blackburn chief scout Mick Brown, who's told Football Insider that a host of top clubs are plotting moves for the defender. So I know a lot of you guys have been asking about him. Well, at least now there's somewhat of a link there from somebody inside the industry. Another story, and this one I would love it to be true, because you know my take on this player, but Corriere dello Sport have said Liverpool have been working to sign Atalanta midfielder Ederson for months. They go on to say Paris Saint-Germain has also shown an interest in him. Now, I would absolutely love this to be true, because you all know how much I like Ederson, but I've not been given an indication it is when I've spoken to David. And look, that would be a lovely surprise. But again, stylistically, when David said to me the reasons that he doesn't think Liverpool would look at Ederson, I understood them, because you can see Zubimendi and how he would work. And as much as I do like Ederson, you know, I do respect that since Arna came in, maybe the profile of midfielders changed there somewhat. Then there was something that, look, I'm going to keep talking about this because it's just great. And he scored a great free kick tonight as well. Sport Bild over in Germany have said Liverpool are one of only 2 options that Eintracht Frankfurt star Omar Marmoush will consider when it comes to a transfer. Bayern Munich is the other option. So this one just feels like there's admiration on both sides. The only problem I have about the Marmoush situation is I don't think we're going to go for a forward if we don't lose a forward. So I don't know if they're looking at him as maybe a Mohamed Salah alternative if Mo goes, or I don't know if maybe they're looking at him for Jota or Darwin, or, you know, in a just case scenario or just in case scenario. But I mean, I really do want Omar Marmoush at this point. He looks like a really exciting player that I could see in our system. So I hope that there is something to that one. And look, there certainly seems to be a fondness from his side. So when this story started to do the rounds a while ago, the things coming out were that Omar Marmoush loves the idea of a move to the Premier League. And then that started to be whittled and narrowed down a bit, and the media reporting was Liverpool. He wants to move to Liverpool. He loves the idea of coming to Liverpool. I mean, I wouldn't mind having an Egyptian-led attack with Mohamed Salah and Omar Marmoush, and why not? But again, I do hope there's something to this. But I guess the question is, what's the trade-off for it? Because I can't see us bringing in another forward when we have, what have we got now at the club? Jota, Darwin, Gakpo, Diaz, Salah, Chiesa. Then you've got Dan's coming through. You know, something would have to give there before you could bring in Marmoush. And look, for me, and I can see in the chat, I say with a heavy heart that I would sell Diogo Jota. Because as much as he is brilliant, it's the availability thing. You know, you go into a season and you want to have as much consistency and continuity as possible. And Jota's great when he's fit and available. But you can't depend on him to be a number 9 for a season, because unfortunately, he just picks up these, knocks and injuries, and it's no one's fault. It's not Diogo's fault. It's not the club's fault. It's just one of them things, It's his body and it's the way it is. But would I take Diogo aside and bring in Marmoush if an offer came in? I would consider it. I would. Craig just joined us. This Trent thing credible. So again, this particular one comes from Danny Murphy, the quote, where he said on TalkSport, again, I'll read it exactly out to you so I don't misquote him. I think Trent is gone. Van Dijk has to stay. Him and Canada are the best in the league. Danny Murphy's convinced Trent Alexander-Arnold is leaving Liverpool this summer, but has faith Mohamed Salah and Virgil will stay. Tobias Bakke said, it's gone really quiet on another centre-back signing. Yeah, I haven't seen one. To be honest with you, bro, I haven't seen many names mentioned. And again, I can sort of understand it. Joe is here. Everyone's fit and healthy at the minute around centre-backs as well. So we've got 4 good options there. I'd like a 5th, I would. But I do think this is a situation that we have a little bit more time on as long as Joe's still at the club. And I don't want to lose Joe. Every time I speak with David, there's this conversation about maybe Joe moves on. And I don't want it to be the case because his versatility is so important. And we had a similar conversation, by the way, last night around Alisson. It speaks to Kelleher's quality that nobody's really been saying, we're still missing Alisson. But the common sense part of me thinks, well, we have a 25-year-old goalkeeper who's doing brilliant. We've just signed a 23, 24-year-old goalkeeper who looks brilliant. And then we have Alisson, who's 31, who is brilliant, best goalkeeper in the world, but over the last year has started to pick up a few more muscle strains. And the pragmatic part of me thinks, would you not keep the 2 younger goalkeepers? Would you not keep Kelleher and Mamardashvili and let them fight it out and try to cash in on the older one? Again, I know that's a difficult sentence when I believe Alisson's the best goalkeeper in the world, but it will come back to, are these outliers with his muscle injuries, or is this father time maybe starting to have an impact on his body? I don't know the answer to that question because I'm not a sports science person or I'm not a doctor, but it is a valid conversation topic, I feel. This poll is closing in and it's very, very close on the Trent salary thing. So please do keep voting on it because it's 52-48 at the minute. Really close. Is it necessary to talk about Kwanzaa's worrying chats? So I don't personally care what Kwanzaa does in his private life or any of the players. I'm only interested in, well, of course, look, you want them to be good people. You don't want them to be out there committing fraud or anything, but none of our lads are like that. So what they do with regards to chatting up women or what, their own business, I really don't pay much attention to it. But I think the different conversation is, should we be concerned about Kwanzaa's form maybe, or why he's not getting more opportunities? That I think is a better question for us as fans to ask, because it's his personal life. Lorcan said, is Alisson the best in the world? For me, yes. You know, if he's fit and available, and I say this with no hesitation, there isn't a goalkeeper in world football that I would swap Alisson Becker for. There just isn't. But the predicament that we find ourselves in is we have Alisson, brilliant, and this is a first world headache. But then we have a really good young goalkeeper in Kelleher who has shown that he can do it week in and week out. We've already signed an up-and-coming future super goalkeeper. So something has to give there. What gives? You know, because you're not going to keep the three of them. So whether it's Kelleher goes and you keep Mamardashvili and Alisson, you know, you'd imagine Mamardashvili's going nowhere because we just signed him. So we can park him up, and then it comes down to Alisson, Kelleher. What happens with the future there? It feels like Kelleher will move on and Ali will stay, but it is a real fustercluck, I think, for the club to figure out. Colin said I'd keep Kelleher. It's so difficult, man, this one, because honestly, I feel like whatever the answer is, we're going to be in a good position. Like, that's how confident I am in all three goalkeepers. Like, if the answer is you keep Kelleher and Mamardashvili, I think will be great. If the answer is you keep Alisson and Mamardashvili, I think will be great. Whatever the solution is, we have a great group of keepers. That's beautiful to be able to say, first and foremost. And you can include Jarosz in that as well, by the way, because he looks a very tidy goalkeeper in his own right. Devon said, could it be the consideration of Marmoush might be because the club is worried about Diaz and Barcelona reigniting? Maybe, but again, if you're Lucho and you're looking at what the new manager's got you doing, I mean, I'll go through some of the statistics James Pearce mentioned yesterday, but I mean, he's bringing on Lucho leaps and bounds, and Lucho's form has been nothing but tremendous under Arne Slot. Where's James Pearce's stuff? 1 second. Is this one? No. I have some notes here on James Pearce with some of these numbers. There we go. So Luis Diaz scored 13 goals in 23-24, one every 278 minutes. So that was under Jurgen Klopp. So far this season, he scored 9 goals and he's scoring a goal every 96 minutes. So almost a goal a game. And then James Pearce goes on to say, Arne Slot's track record of developing players was key to his appointment, and he's certainly taken the Colombians' game to the next level. Now, if you add that into what Fabrizio Romano was saying, then this becomes very interesting. Romano said, in August, some very important clubs prepared to try and sign Luis Diaz, but it was never close. I would not be surprised to see Liverpool, after Ibrahima Konate, start to negotiate a new deal with Lucho, and the club want to try to make it happen. He went on a little bit further to say, credit to Liverpool, Richard Hughes and Arne Slot together were talking to Luis Diaz representatives around the new project, introducing him to the new idea at the club for the present and the future, and were able to go the same way with Lewis as part of the future plans. So it feels like he's bought into the vision. You know, Arne Slot, Liverpool, told him what the plan is, and Lucho's happy with it. So a contract extension for him, I think, and nobody would bat an eyelid there. So yeah, I don't know if Barca's interest comes back or not, but again, Lucho's playing some great football under our manager for Liverpool, so, you know, why go elsewhere? Nice headache to have over the 4 goalkeepers, said David Massey. Yeah, it is. It's certainly a better headache than the days of looking at Simon Mignolet and thinking, oh God. And no Adrian as well, like this. Yeah, this is the first time I've looked at Liverpool goalkeepers and gone, all of them, every one of the 4 of them, I have faith in. Gon AWOL said, after the Leverkusen game and with Diaz form, I'd keep the same front 3 against Villa. Diaz as a false 9 could be genius from Slot. I just recorded my preview actually earlier on today for the Villa games coming out tomorrow, and I didn't keep the same 3. I don't want to give any more away than that. I do explain my reasoning, by the way, in the video, so I hope you understand it. But I could understand it if he did as well, to be fair, because, you know, off the back of a 4-0 win, it's hard to be in any way unhappy with what happened there from the forwards. So, Carl Heffo said, Trent isn't in the top 3 right backs in world football, but he's in the top 10 best footballers. There is a big difference. So, by what metric, Carl, just out of curiosity, is Trent the top 10 best footballers in the world? So, he's one of the top 10 best ball strikers in the world. I'll give you that. Passing, probably give you that as well. Defensive work, very good. Improving, as we've said, a lot under Arne Slot. But his impact in the way that we think of Trent impacting games from a forward-looking perspective, it's probably been toned down a little bit under Arne Slot. But then again, you could put that down to the balance of attack, defence, attack, defence. So I personally, Carl, wouldn't have Trent as one of the 10 best footballers in the world. I wouldn't have him as one of the 20 or 25 best footballers in the world. That's me as a Liverpool fan, being honest. But again, this is just an opinion. There's no way for us to measure this, is there really? Stevie Boy, how are you, bro? Said, at this point of time, my concern for all 3 players, January not too far away. Yeah, and we've always said, and I feel like sometimes we move the goalposts with these things, right? We've always said if it gets to January and we've had no sign of an extension for any of them, we should worry. And I stand over that now. But I don't know. I just keep coming back to the same thing. What does he need to be convinced by? Because of the 3 of them, I feel like Trent's the one that it's down to him solely about what happens next. Virgil and Mohamed, there is some thought processes from the club around, you know, lengths of contract, whether their form might drop off a little bit or not. So it's a bit of both. Some for the player, some for the club. We all know the club want Trent to stay. We know that. We know that they're going to offer him a significant pay rise. We know that he would be a future captain. We know all that. We also now know that our manager's top notch, that we're going to be challenging, and that we're going in the right direction. So again, I will ask, what does the young man need to be convinced by at this point? Gon AWOL said, to be honest, we've seen a drop off in Trent's quality going forward this season, like passing, etc. Do you think that's due to the focus on his defensive work from Slot, or is his mind already gone? I would think it's probably a balance of what Arne Slot wants from him, maybe defensively, and just how we're a little bit more less gung-ho going forward. Because, you know, he has still had some impact this season. So as an example, there was a ball into the right channel for Salah's goal recently that Trent played over the top. If you look at Luis Diaz's first goal, I think I'm not mistaken by saying that came from a Trent pass to Curtis Jones and then a brilliant Curtis Jones pass in. So he is still able to impact the game going forward from what he's doing. We're just not seeing him marauding forward as much. So I think it's probably a mixture of both maybe, but I would lean more to the way Arne Slot has us playing. And I'm more than happy for him to have less impact going forward if he continues to improve on his defensive stuff, which he has. You know, you heard Trent speaking about Arne Slot saying, move your body 8 degrees this way, in small details. And I think we can see that improvement. I mean, I've certainly been speaking about it quite a bit, that he is defensively better this season. Maybe transfers to strengthen us, Craig. Maybe Trent wants evidence we want to win things. So, of course, that's a valid concern for any player. But what can you do to convince someone that we're going to win things more at this point other than being top of everything? You know? Like, we're not 1, 2, 3 games into the league now. We're 10 games in. We've played 4 in the Champions League, half the group stage games. and we're top of that table, and we're top of the Premier League table, and we're in the quarterfinal of the League Cup. So, you know, the club can't do any more mid-season to show we're going to be challenging. But yeah, you're right. Like, I want to see the club be more active in the transfer market. So I'm sure the players want to see this added quality being brought in as well. Absolutely. But we're building a nice little team there. We're only a few additions away. So I'm sure Trent would get that acknowledgement that, yes, we are going to look to the market. We are looking for a midfielder. 8-0 to Chelsea. Wow. 2-0 to United as well. Mark, thank you for those updates. Right, there's a few more things, by the way, I wanted to go through. Apparently, we missed out on a Brazilian youngster. So, there's a report posted by LFC Transfer Room that said Liverpool have made a great offer for Brazilian youngster Rayan, spelled Rayan, but have been beaten to the signing of the 18-year-old by Barcelona. Rayan had a great offer on the table from Liverpool and Lyon, but decided to move to the new camp for an €18 million move. Be nice to get one or two of these Brazilians over the line. We do love a Brazilian. Obviously, we got Bobby and we've got Alexis as well from Argentina. So we do have a South American flavour. Luis Diaz from Colombia, Darwin Núñez. But yeah, a young, flashy Brazilian is always exciting. This one I just don't believe, by the way. This next story I'm going to read out to you. It's an exciting one. It'd be great if there was truth to it, but again, I have my doubts. So, Fichajes, you know, our embassy having friends on Bullshit Island, have reported that Liverpool and Chelsea have taken a step forward in their pursuit of Florian Wirtz. They go on to say the German internationals projected to fetch as much as £100 million if the Bundesliga champions are to cash in. Manchester City, Bayern Munich and Real Madrid are touted as potential options. You know my take on this. Whenever I see a host of top clubs and a bidding war, it never feels like a situation that Liverpool are going to be there. Which is why Marmoush feels a bit different. Marmoush sounds like, well, he's got his mind made up that there's only two places he wants to go, Bayern or Liverpool. So, if that's already out in the public domain, other clubs are going to feel like they're wasting their time. So it's a bit easier then for Liverpool to go in and negotiate. With this one, I can't see us getting involved in a bid more. And if we do, I can't see us paying what others are going to pay. I just don't see it. As much as we'd all love Florian Wirtz, by the way. David Massett said, I hope Trent thinks about how Coutinho thought the grass was greener. So, even though with Coutinho, I think there's an understanding that that was his dream. Like, he grew up in Brazil wanting to play for Barcelona. He grew up idolising La Liga and Spanish football. Trent grew up idolising Liverpool and the Premier League and Steven Gerrard. And he's here. And all these things, he's living his dream. So again, I just want to keep saying, what does he need to be convinced by now? You know, because it's not like Trent, that we know of, grew up dreaming of Real Madrid. You know, he spoke about Gerrard being his idol and this being his club. And Kai, thank you, mate, for your super chat. Very kind of you, sir. Said, let's just pray Trent remains loyal. I'm not a religious person, mate, but I'm certainly hoping that Trent remains loyal, because we all want him to stay, but I just get more nervous as this drags on, because I start to run out of reasons why it's delayed. Do you think Trent has told Liverpool he's leaving and Edwards won't renew VVD and Salah because he wants to build his new Liverpool? That's why we haven't heard about new contracts. So, I don't know the answer to the first part of that, Stephen, because I don't know what Trent has or hasn't said to the club. I just don't see a world how Michael Edwards or anybody else would not want to keep around Virgil. You know, whatever about Mo, we can talk about that. And I would still say I can't see a world where you wouldn't want to keep Mo either. But Virgil right now is so important to us, not showing any signs of falling off a cliff form-wise or anything. So I think it would be an unnecessary gamble not to renew Virgil. And again, what would you have to pay to replace him? So why not replace him with somebody who's coming in and can build up to that position, you know? It's a little bit safer to think, well, let's try to get the next Van Dijk. Well, let's try to get them at 22, 23. and have Van Dijk still at the club for a few years. This guy learning off him, playing with him, filling in when Canade's out or whatever. Maybe Jarell Kwanzaa is that guy, by the way. Mad Football Edit said, Omar Marmoush, what a player he is. 2 free kicks in 2 games. His numbers are just getting better and better. I really want him to come to Liverpool. So do I. So do I, my friend. I think we need to figure out at the expense of who. And that's the big question over this. Like, we can all talk about a midfielder, see the space in the squad, and see why we need one. We can't look at the forward line and think we need another forward. I mean, I'm a greedy son of a bitch, but even I can't look at those 6 names and think we haven't been covered for 3 positions. So, yeah, that's where I'm struggling with this. I want to be all in. I love the idea of Marmoush. I love the player. I love the link, and I think it's a very Liverpool-type signing as well. I just don't know what to replace who. Right, so we've now had 1,350 votes, and the vote has swung back. So I'm going to keep this live because it was 55% he doesn't deserve 300 grand a week, 45% he does. Now it's 52% Trent deserves 300 grand a week, 48% he doesn't deserve 300 grand a week. For what it's worth, I don't think he deserves 300 grand a week. I mean, he might get it, and I'd rather he gets it than leaves, but I don't think he's worth 300 grand a week. I don't think in our pay structure, his influence on the team is important enough to be the second highest paid player. That's the way I'm trying to look at it. But I would rather him get paid 300 grand a week and stay than to lose him. I just think 250 is a number I'd feel more comfortable at. So, a couple of things, by the way. If you can, drop a like for us. We do appreciate that. And also, it is now next week. The show's coming up really quickly. It is 8 days away that we're going to be in Liverpool. I think about 65-70% of the tickets are gone at this point. We got an update last night. So if you want to come and see us, you can get your tickets with the link either in the top of the chat now or in the description of the stream. Craig, much love. I read a paper recently on why football fans use the first plural to enforce collectivity, and it got me thinking about the thing you said about football associated with a tribal feeling. Yeah, football's very tribal, which is one of the reasons I love it, to be fair. Shane, how are you? Did you see the video of Planet Faz, United content creator, outside Old Trafford before he game telling Garnacho to improve his first touch and his passing? In my opinion, his tone was so disrespectful. I know who Faz is. I haven't really seen any of his content. I only know who he is because I think he was ex-United stand, and I think Drawdy, he came up in a conversation once or twice maybe, but I don't know Faz, and I certainly haven't seen this clip. So I can't really speak to it, mate, because I don't know the clip. I don't know the context of it. I was hoping that I wasn't going to get a repeat of what was written the other day where somebody said, I don't know if it was Flex or Rants, but one of them was outside Old Trafford and they got racially abused, and I was hoping you weren't going there with it because, God, I don't want that to happen to anybody. So, yeah, I don't know, Shane, mate. I don't know. I didn't see it. So I've no idea if he was being disrespectful or not. Look, as content creators, we all make content in different way. We come across in different ways. We've got different speech patterns. So I don't know what works for Faz or what works for other content creators or what endures them to their audiences. You know, it's a very unique personal thing. It's also, I was thinking about this last night. It's a very weird existence being a content creator because your entire life is just seeking validation. You know, whether it's how many likes have we got in the video, how many views have we got, did somebody subscribe, how many followers have we got on TikTok. Every day your life revolves around numbers, revolves around looking for little green ticks on YouTube, revolves around just hoping that people don't call you an asshole. It's a weird existence. I never thought too much about it before, but in the last few days, since, again, I spoke about the end of the season, and since that I've kind of thought, yeah, every day of my life I'm up looking at my phone, just trying to feel like, one, I hope I haven't upset anybody today, and two, is this video going to do well? Is this topic going to do well? Is the channel going in the right direction? It's a mad existence. LFC 8092 said Ederson to Liverpool. So there's a report, mate, and I'll read it out for you now. 1 second. From, I think it's Corriere dello Sport, that say Liverpool have been working to sign Atalanta midfielder Ederson for months. Paris Saint-Germain are also showing an interest in him. Now, I'd love that to be true, but I don't know it to be true. I guess we'll find out soon enough, though. Cohen said 300k a week to kick a football is ridiculous. It's even more ridiculous that someone thinks she deserves that kind of money. The whole football world and the entertainment world and all, I mean, the sums of money in it to us mere mortals are crazy. Like, yeah, I can't comprehend the idea of thinking about earning hundreds of thousands of pounds a week or millions a month. But, it's not the world we live in, is it? Distance from Pluto said, Craig, I don't always agree with you, but I totally agree with you on Trent. So can I say something about the first part of your comment there, mate? You said you don't always agree with me. Do you know that actually means a lot to me that you're here? Because I try to put this point across all the time. We don't have to agree with everybody in life on everything. And the fact that we can maybe not see eye to eye on certain things, but still have respect, that means a lot to me. So thank you for that. Because, there's a lot of times in life where if you don't agree with somebody on one thing, that's it. You have to not like them, or you're leaning to not like them. And I really appreciate that you don't say eye to eye with me on everything, but you're still here, man. That means a lot. Thank you. And on Trent, look, I've looked at this and tried to be as patient as I can as a fan. And I only ever speak for me. And I've tried to be understanding that it was a strain when Jurgen left, and that he wanted to see who the manager was, and he wanted to see what the lay of the land was, and would we be competitive. I think all those questions, though, that were understandable, reasonable questions for him to ask, have been answered, but we're still no further along to getting an answer on what he wants. And that's what makes me worried. Peter Kaplan said, everything sorted for the Liverpool trip next week. Cannot wait to meet you. Thank you, Peter, man. Can't wait to say hello to you as well. And yeah, make sure you do come up and let me know who you are, because we'll be, after the show, we'll be making sure we stick around and get photos and a chat with everybody as well, mate. So thank you. Shabbat Shalom, blah, blah, blah. I don't understand what that means, so I'm hesitant to say it. Good night, brother, friend, Anfield Agenda. Good night to you as well, my friend, and much love to you. I think it seems like you're in Israel, so much love to you over in Israel, buddy, and thank you for being in with us. I don't like that you are not religious, but so what? We both love Liverpool, and that's why we're here. I respect that. Same way I've always said I respect people who are religious, mate. I look at religion this way. If somebody finds solace, comfort, hope, help, peace in religion, whatever that religion might be, if it benefits their life and makes them a better person and it brings them joy, as a friend, that's all I could ask for somebody in my life. So personally, I've just never really been a religious person. I won't speak actively against any religion, because I have many family members who are very religious, and religion's a lot to them. I'm an easygoing dude. I'm a kind of live and let live type person, As long as you're not hurting anybody else, I want you to be happy. I don't care who you love. I don't care where in the world you're from. I don't care what your income is. I don't care how long you've been supporting Liverpool. I just care about my mates and my community, and I want you all to be happy. So if religion brings that to you, then may it bring you many more years of joy. I hope we see the three main contracts sorted 2 weeks from now, but Edwards and FSG are in budget mode, it seems. Not their biggest fan, to say the least, said Cohen. Look, I ain't their biggest fan either, mate, when it comes to the transfer window. I think they've done a lot of stuff right at this football club, and for that they deserve the credit. But, I use a phrase that I use to try and be fair. I think they're cheap. And I'm not going to change that opinion until I see evidence of it in the transfer market. So, I don't know what to think on the budget side of the contract, because I can't see how the number should be a problem for us, because we have more than enough wiggle room financially to cope with giving these boys an extension. So, yeah, but on the transfer window thing, look, I don't think I'm for turning on the fact that I think they're cheap. Keith said, is this your last show or will you do an Irish gig? I don't know. So even with May next year, this is only, November. So there could be a world where we do something in March, maybe, in Liverpool again or elsewhere. My focus has been on only looking at shows in Liverpool, to be honest, because from a personal perspective, that's the one I felt less nervous on the night. It's weird, and I don't know if it's because I felt really welcomed, loved, and at home in Liverpool, because I felt that everywhere, because everyone's been lovely. And I don't know if it's maybe because I had the Cardiff show 2 days before, and that was, I was able to work out my nerves through that, and the Liverpool show was a bit more relaxed, whereas every other show has been a single show where I haven't had a show before it. So I don't know. I don't know, mate. I really don't. I wouldn't rule anything in or out. Felix Deluxe said, running his contract down is a snake's trick. If he leaves for free, who does that affect the most? Us, the fans. No money for Trent is less money to buy players. I can understand that perspective as well. I wouldn't use the term snake, but yeah, he'll look after him. And I guess that's okay. Players are there to look after their own best interests. But it is difficult to stomach the idea that I love the club, I idolise the club, I want to captain the club, and also I don't want to be here. It's tough. It's tough. I think there's been a lot of good grace from Liverpool fans around this situation with Trent personally. I think there's been a lot of respect shown to Trent by Liverpool fans around this situation, and I'm starting to see more people maybe feel like that respect hasn't been reciprocated because we're still all in the dark about it. You've seen Virgil say he wants to stay. You've seen Mohamed Salah, kind of hint at the club to hurry up and move this along. It's been all quiet on the Western Front with Trent. Joe said, the people who love you outnumber the ones that don't. You ever come back, your community will be here. Thank you, mate. Even my wife was asking me today what my plans are from next season, mate, and I had to tell her the same thing. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do come May, but I feel free now that I feel like I don't, between now and May, I don't care what people say about me anymore, because I've made my decision and I'll move on and I'll do what I'm going to do. So it's kind of freed me enough to not really look into these lowlifes. Do I think FSG are better than Ineos? Yes, I do. I do. So I don't hate FSG. I have two really, really sore points with them that are enough for me to not trust them. And they're these, and I can only ever repeat it. The Super League is unfucking forgivable to me, because you were willing to let us all wake up one day and say to us, I don't give a shit about your heritage. I don't care about your feelings. I don't care what the players and the fans want around the future of the club. I am picking up this thing and bringing it over here and joining this closed shop Super League because it will make me, the owner, more money. That is, in my opinion, a cardinal sin, and one that I will never forgive. Never. I know they weren't the only owners that did it, but we are European royalty. How many beautiful images have we all seen growing up of Crazy Horse, Phil Thompson, Steven Gerrard lifting that European Cup. To have somebody come in from the outside and feel like I'm making this massive decision that has huge ramifications and nobody is going to have a sniff that it was going on. It's so duplicitous and disgusting that I can't forgive it. You know, I wouldn't forgive my missus if she did something like that to me. I'm not forgiving some fucker from Boston who I don't know, who just thought he could take all the tradition and history of the football club and run away with it because it would put more money in his back pocket. That's sick to me. So there was that, and then there's the part about the transfers. I just feel he's cheap. I feel they're cheap in the transfer market, and I feel like that cheapness has cost us more silverware. Those are two things that I just can't get past. Leighton Robinson said every right-minded owner would do that, and most of the big clubs did do that. Right? And how did their fans react? And are they in the fucking Super League? That's the point. They did it, and anybody could have told them the reaction was going to be what it was. So, I'm not an accountant, and I don't give a shit about businessmen. I support the football club. And I was drawn into supporting the football club because of its story, its tradition, its meaning, and what the club stands for and the city stands for. So to have somebody, an outsider, take that decision away without any consultation of season ticket holders, of fans, of managers, of players, and to get that shitty little statement that we got. You can say any right-minded owner would do that, and that's maybe fair enough. But I'm a fan, and my answer is, fuck you. You're a scumbag for doing that. So, these guys, in my opinion, and in many opinions, should be there to sign the checks and shut the fuck up. Because ultimately, they're going to make billions when they sell Liverpool. And I'm fine about that. You know, if they do the great work to get the club to a point where they sell it and make a fortune, good on them. Everyone wins. We win with trophies, success. They win with a payoff. But while you're custodians of the football club, you treat it with respect. And they didn't. Inferno Gaming said, Craig, I've been reading a lot of articles about Tchouaméni. Do you think it could be a possibility? I know David said he doesn't fit our profile, but maybe he could be similar to Gravenberch. Look, it's not out of the realms of possibility. But what I guess the point I would make is, for me to start to believe the Tchouaméni stuff, I'm going to need to see it from anybody from the English side. So, an Ornstein, David Lynch, Paul Joyce, James Pearce, Chris Bascom, any of them. But all we're seeing is, it feels more like Madrid want to get rid of him, and Madrid are trying to drum up interest, to me, rather than Liverpool actually having an interest. So that's my guesstimation of what's happening. But it is just that, I guess. Sorry, I don't know where to go with this one, but you're going to be disappointed, mate, because I've had the snip, so there'd be no more Craig babies in the world. You know, I've been fixed, so that's not going to happen. But thank you, nonetheless, for your kind sentiment, mate. I appreciate it, and thank you for making me smile as well. Tammy said, you make me laugh, Craig. Well done. You say the truth and how it is. Well done. The owners are terrible. Look, I don't think they're terrible. I just have two big bugbears that I can't get past. And that's why I am on the, negative side towards the owners. That and their absolute disregard and disrespect for our channel and our community. That also rightly pissed me off. To not even acknowledge emails about asking for confirmation of our place in the LFC media landscape. For that to be just blanked twice as well. Because it's not just me that blanking. It's all of you. And that pissed me off as well. I think we finish first this year and 5th or 6th next year. I mean, I'm all up for the first part of that, Brett, but I don't know how you come to the second part conclusion because, I mean, I don't think any of us can make any type of prediction about next year because we don't know if City are going to be in the league. We don't know if we've made a star signing or two. We don't know what business other clubs have done. So, yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't even start to think about next season. So the longer we leave this poll up, by the way, the more people are saying, yes, give him 300 grand a week. So it started off 55, 45, 55, no, he's not worth 300 grand a week. And now it's the other way. Now it's 54% saying, yes, he deserves 300 grand a week. 46% saying, no, he doesn't. I would be on the side of no, he doesn't, but I would be also on the side of I'd rather he gets it than he leaves. Graffin said, Craig, imagine we had this midfield trio in Klopp's prime squad. Look, we have a great midfield trio, but I'd rather it be a great midfield 5 or 6. And to be fair, I think we can start to include Curtis Jones in this conversation of the great midfield we have. You know, if he can keep up his fitness, his form, his energy, you know, he's every right to be in this conversation because Curtis Jones has been a really pleasant surprise for me this season. So when have Liverpool ever spent big? I'm not asking for us to spend big though. And this is what I think, I'd love people to listen to what I actually say. And not a dig at you there, but loads of people just get what they want out of it. I want Liverpool to be spending and be able to match the spending of our competitors. So yes, there's going to be outliers in the likes of a Manchester City or a Chelsea. But what about an Aston Villa, a Manchester United, an Arsenal? I want us to be spending net roughly what they're spending as well. You know, I'm not asking for Liverpool to be Paris Saint-Germain 2.0. I'm just asking for our net spend to be more in line with other top clubs that want to progress. And I know that we have the ability to do that as a club, so it's a conscious decision not to. So yeah, it's not about me thinking Liverpool are going to... I want FSG to go out and buy, I don't know, a £200 million midfielder. I just want them to... I just not want to see a 40 or 50 million net spend at the end of the season when our competitors are spending a lot more. That's my point. Windlord said, no footballer deserves 300k a week. That said, it is the market. Pay him what the market world dictate. But, is it the market? Because I've not seen anything to say what wages Real Madrid are going to be offering Trent. So it's easy for us to sit here and say that's the market value. But is it? Because I'd fall off my chair if he signed for Real Madrid and was getting paid more than 220, 225 grand a week. I'd be astonished. I don't think he's going to get 300 grand at Real Madrid. And if that's the case, and again, I don't know this for a fact, but if it is the case, then why is it a different price for us? You know, I don't think any of us think he's getting 300 grand a week at Real Madrid. David said, going on about Trent for me, I've had enough. If Liverpool can go on without him, yes, we can. I think it's just a ball ache, for want of a better phrase. You know, everybody just uncertainty. When is it going to be resolved? So I don't even know where to go with this, but I'm going to read it out. So it's from Joseph Bobley, who said, Liverpool defender Virgil van Dijk is expected to extend his stay at Anfield by putting pen to paper on the new deal. That to me is just an empty post. Expected to. Not is going to sign a new deal, or there's been a breakthrough, or is expected to. It's just, it's no news. But try to dress it up like it's a bit of a breaking story. Spending with FFP has become a lot tighter. Clubs can spend what they used to. So you want to go down to the FFP conversation, and no problem. They want football clubs spending no more than 80% of their turnover on wages and transfers. The ideal number they'd like to get down to was about 70% of operating turnover to be spent. Liverpool, the last I checked, and this was, I think, before we moved some players on, we were about 62%. So there is a good bit of wiggle room. So it isn't a lack of being able to spend the money that we're not spending. And you don't need to take my word for that, because I'm an idiot. But there are people who, Mo Chatra, as an example, I think he still works with Anfield Index, but Mo knows football finance inside out. You'll see him explaining why Liverpool can spend more money, or Swiss Ramble. People who actually understand football finance. I only get the highlights of it and try to educate myself as I go along. But again, it's not because of a lack of an ability to spend more money. It's a decision on what we see as value for that money, I guess. Is there a possibility that Lucho starts playing as Firmino's role? He looks like a great experiment, as we've seen against Leverkusen. Perhaps, yeah. I mean, I said the other day, I'd love us to find a way to get 4 attackers on as an example in a game or whatever. But maybe, I would have a question of, would it work out all the time? Sometimes it's good to have a Darwin type striker there as well, but there's no doubt Luis Diaz can pivot into another role, and I'm loving seeing the goal scoring side of Lucho as well. Craig, would you sell, start, bench Jones, Harvey, Szoboszlai? See, I don't want to sell any there, because normally I would have answered sell Jones. But I think Jones deserves his credit and has earned his place. I don't want to sell Harvey Elliott because I really like Harvey Elliott. So, I mean, I'll put them in order of importance. Let me try that. I think Szoboszlai is the most important, then Jones, then Elliott. But I think Elliott can move up that list. I like stingy. That's how you stay wealthy. But when you spend positions filled, as so obvious all the fans can see it, then you should probably fill those positions. So there's another big question that I don't think we as Liverpool fans have been angry enough about. And that question is, how did the club allow this situation to continuously get to this point? We did it with Firmino. Mane left for next to nothing. A football club that's supposed to be super clever about these things has allowed so many players to walk out the door without any fee being commanded by the club whatsoever. And in this situation now, we sit here as fans seeing the club hasn't learned their lesson on this. And we're talking about 3 really important people in our team, again, potentially able to walk away at the end of the season. And it's still not been resolved. And we are in November of that year. Their contract's out at the end of June. How are we here? How? Like, there's always a damn excuse about it. Oh, change behind the scenes. Fuck off. This contract situation about these 3 has been known for 18 months. And the fact that we are now here in this crazy situation where they could go for nothing, it doesn't strike me as a well-managed strategy. It just doesn't. Do you think we will win silverware this season? Yeah, I really do, Leighton. I really, really do. I don't know what that is. I hope it's not just a League Cup, but look, a League Cup is better than nothing. I had a couple of ambitions going into this season. I wanted us to get out of the Champions League and into the quarterfinals as a minimum. I wanted Arne Slot to beat the points tally we put up last season and then let the cards fall as they may. And I think we're on target to do both of those. So as it's sitting here, I'm a very happy Liverpool fan with what we're seeing on the pitch and the points we're putting up. You can never guarantee a trophy, but right now it's hard to not see us picking up a trophy if we continue in this resurgent way. Are there any notable players whose contract expire at the end? Do you mean outside of Liverpool, Nazar? Yeah, there's always a handful of interesting ones. Off the top of my head, I can't really think, to be honest, but I don't know, mate. Sorry, I don't know. What else is there? Yeah, look, Jones has been brilliant in the last one. I hope he can stay fit. Maybe it's being a daddy. I don't know. Maybe fatherhood suits him. I don't know. But whatever it is, this version of Curtis Jones makes me feel like an idiot, because I don't think any of us would have doubted this version of Curtis Jones. So long may it continue. Team of the week in the Champions League. I have a bone to pick with the Champions League, and let me read out the team of the week to you, and then I'll explain why I'm annoyed by it. So in goal, it's Mannion. Then Molina, Hien, Kehrer and Davies make up the defence. In midfield, Lucho, Tillman, Lees-Malou, Kuhn, Konate and Gyökeres up top. So here's my problem with that Champions League team of the week. Mannion conceded. Yes, they won at the Bernabeu, but he conceded. Our goalkeeper was in goal for a 4-0 win over the reigning champions of Germany, who were invincible last year, did everything he needed to do, and doesn't get a sniff. How? I don't understand on what metric Mannion conceding a goal makes him better. That blew my mind when I seen that earlier on. The rest of them, look, you can make arguments, but Kelleher, in his first Champions League appearance, came up against Leverkusen, made some big saves, did everything he needed to do, kept a clean sheet, and doesn't get in there. I just find that weird. And you could make an argument around our centre-backs and that as well, but just because of the significance of the fixture, it being Kelleher's first game, and another clean sheet, I don't know how he's not in there. It just baffles me. So, Premier League put out an interesting graphic earlier on. They said Arne Slot into the history books. Liverpool head coach Arne Slot becomes the first Premier League boss to win 14 of their first 16 matches in charge. So Arne Slot tops the list ahead of Carlo Ancelotti with 13, Jose Mourinho with 13, Antonio Conte with 12, John Gregory at Aston Villa, by the way, with 12, Maurizio Sarri, again Chelsea, Avram Grant, 12 with Chelsea, and Unai Emery at Arsenal. It's mad how many Chelsea bosses are in there, by the way, with great starts. So Ancelotti, Mourinho, Conte, Sarri and Grant, all of them on that list. So yeah, well done to Arne Slot. I mean, we know what an incredible start he's had, but it's always good to see some statistics and stuff that we don't know as mere mortals. All Liverpool FC talk. How are you, bro? Love your work. I'm good, mate. I'm good, thank you. Really excited for the game of the weekend. I mean, it's not very often we're going to get Saturday night 8 o'clock kickoff time, and then it's a great game against Villa as well. So I'm excited. And then, of course, there's this horrible international break that we all have to sit through. But yeah, look, I'm good, thank you, mate. Good. As a Liverpool fan right now, very content with what we're seeing and excited about the future. Do you prefer Klopp's style of play or Arne's? So, Klopp's. I'm going to tell you why, though. I really do like Arne's style of play, and I like I think there's a better balance in Arne's style of play. But I'm a passion merchant, and that swashbuckling, balls out, attacking style had its flaws, and we were caught out on occasion, but God, I loved it. I did. I loved being swept along in that Jurgen Klopp wave of emotion and hype, and because I could see, it was very me-esque. Like, I could see me trying to get a football team to play that way, or wanting a team to play that way, and I could see me being that way on the sideline. It struck a real chord with me, because it encapsulated what was beautiful about our club in particular, about getting the crowd behind, and the crowd, the manager, the players, and everything forming this holy trinity that we speak about, and becoming better than the sum of our parts, and a real unstoppable force. It just felt like Klopp blew it all up, like just got it, and everything was fucking amazing. Like, go back and watch some of those Man City games, or Roma in the Champions League. I mean, nobody could live with us. 10-15 minute patches and we were just blowing teams away. Now, there's some downsides to it as well. You know, you ask a lot of players, maybe pick up more injuries, but God Almighty, it was magical. And I'm hoping with with Arne Slot, we will have that as well, because we've seen second half against Leverkusen, that harnessing of everything. It's just we need to start a bit quicker, I think. But overall, in the balance of it, I think Arne's style is more, I don't want to say safe, because that doesn't feel like the right word. I think balance is probably the better word. And I never understood some people that felt it was boring, or that our style is boring. I can see it being more intentful, more purposeful, maybe a little bit more rigid in certain ways, but yeah. What's this? I don't know. Who paid Champions League games, Mark? I'm confused by the comment, mate. Sorry. I know you meant start, but yeah, chat mentioned he's actually played 4 Champions League games, 2 this season. Who? I don't even know who I'm talking about there, Mark, to be honest. Oh, Kelleher. It was his first Champions League start, is what I meant. You know, it was Kelleher's first time playing and starting in the Champions League. That's what I meant when I was saying it's Kelleher's first time. Sorry. Yes, he's played as a substitute and stuff, but this was his first start at Anfield in the Champions League. That's what I meant. Sorry. Slots football is more controlled, said David Massett. Yeah, it just, look, I think if we were all being a little bit, not critical, but, you know, we do need to start games a bit quicker. Or at least we need to be able to impose ourselves a bit more at the start of games. Like, there's probably something to us wearing teams down, Slot figuring it out, and then us going for it, and teams kind of tiring and not being able to live with us. That speaks to Arne Slot's coaching and level of fitness of the boys as well. But there's also, you know, there'd be something said for being 2-0 up at half time. I wouldn't say no to that either. Do you know what thing I am much, much happier with under Arne Slot, though? The substitutions. And I don't mean the substitutions for the way they impact the game, because I think both managers were good at that at times. But I love that he's thinking ahead to resting players. So he's already making sure he's taking Trent off, or Mo off, or Szoboszlai off at 65, 70 minutes if we're a couple of goals ahead. I like that, because I think that will play a big part under keeping these guys available for the latter part of the season, where in other seasons we've tapered off a bit. That's one part of Arne Slot I'm really enjoying, and I think is good squad management. Rusba said, should we rest some big players against Southampton since we play Real Madrid, then City in a short span of time? You want to make sure you win the game first and foremost. Because you're in a semi-final then. So, what we played December the 1st against Manchester City. Probably mix it up again, because I would say even a watered down version of our 11 should be able to hold their own, and then you see how it goes. Maybe bring the boys off the bench. I wouldn't go week, but yeah, I'd expect some changes. Imran said, last few seasons under Jurgen, we were regularly conceding the first goal. We don't do that as much this season. Yeah, there's something nice to the defensive solidity, absolutely. I think I'm right in saying we've the best defensive record so far in the league. David Massett said, clever sub, saves legs and injuries. Yeah. And remember, when Arne Slot became Liverpool manager, one of the things that was impressive about him towards Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards was his ability to keep players fit. I think he had something, I don't know if it was 90 or 95, but he had a really high availability rate of players at Feyenoord because of, I can't remember which one of his backroom team it is. Which one was it? It wasn't Sipka Hulshoff. Ruben Peters, I think it was. I think it was Ruben Peters. That gives Arne Slot a report and said, these guys can only train this intensity, can only play for this long, or they get into the area where I'm worried they're going to pick up injuries. So that was certainly something that Liverpool hoped that Arne Slot and his backroom team could add in, so that we've always known we've had a good core group of players, but it was about making sure we could manage and maintain them throughout the season. So if we can avoid these latter season injuries, maybe we don't see that end of season fall off where we've had in other seasons. Yes, we've only 6 goals conceded in the Prem. Next best is Forest on 7. There you go. And look, full credit to Forest, by the way, for the start they've had to the season. I mean, I'm sure their fans can't believe what's going on. Could you give me a quick rundown on the Trent news? So basically the whole Trent story comes from Danny Murphy, who said on TalkSport, I'm getting the exact comment again, I think Trent is gone. Van Dijk has to stay. Him and Canade are the best in the league. Danny Murphy is convinced that Trent Alexander-Arnold is leaving Liverpool this summer, but has faith that Mo Salah will extend his contract. That's where we're going with it. It's a direct quote from Danny Murphy. And if you couple that with some quotes from others like Paddy Pimbley, who's an athlete from in and around the city, and other former players, the narrative feels like there's a lot more people talking about the fact they think Trent's leaving. And I'm not really seeing too much, other than there's optimism, but I'm not seeing too many people feeling that they think it's absolutely a fact that he'll stay. I've not really seen much of that, and that has me concerned. Should we have kept Bobby Clark and Fabio Carvalho? No. So, my question about Clark was, do we need 10 million that much? Because I always thought Bobby Clark was a tidy player. Carvalho, I feel like there wasn't a natural fit for him, and we got a decent fee. So I probably wouldn't have sold Bobby Clark for another year. To be honest, I would have thought that he might have had some minutes this season. But I guess it felt like he wanted to go as well, so maybe that was a big part of it. Bass said, Trent is a fantastic player, but out of the three, the one with the most longevity, but at the same time, the least mission critical short term. Replacing VVD and Mo on short notice will be expensive. Yes, I agree with that. So, it's been very interesting to keep track of this poll over the course of the stream. So the question was, does Trent deserve £300,000 per week? We've had 2,100 votes, and 54% of you guys watching said yes, Trent deserves 300 grand a week, and 46% say no, he doesn't. So you can see there's a split there amongst the thinking. Fabio's even struggling at Brentford. Yeah, exactly. And look, Sepp van den Berg as well. That was a nice, tidy sum that we got for Sepp van den Berg. Right, look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say goodnight to you all because I've got to get a few bits and pieces done here in the background as well. I'm not 100% certain if I'm going to be live tomorrow or not, but the preview is coming out tomorrow morning. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to record a recap of all of these stories and put it out now. Then the preview will be out tomorrow morning, and there'll be a news video as well. I probably will be live tomorrow night, but just in case I'm not, thank you all for coming in, everyone that joined us. Another great stream. Really appreciate your support. Don't forget, we're in Liverpool next Friday. If you want to come and see us, you can get your tickets with a link in the description or at the top of the chat. It is an all ages event, so everybody's welcome to come along. And again, thank you for a really pleasant evening. Love you guys to bits.